Chapter 42 Masters of a Dying World. And it did, but not in the way Hassan expected. I mean, this is Pathfinder, which is just D&D with a new suit. And what leaders do in D&D when encountered by insurmountable enemies is simple. Hire other people to handle it, hopefully in groups of 5. It all started with Sir John the Anointed and his rightful band of adventurers sent by none other than the High Hierophant of Osirion, who, after giving a heart-rending speech in the name of goodness and attempting to steer the evil ways of the SDC back into the light, got thrown into the battle pit and eaten by Monsieur Mankataut, much to the pleasure of the audience. Then came Maelstrom the Destroyer and his steel-clad companions, the envoys from the courts of Cheliax bent on bringing down the evils from the desert that threatened to engulf the world once and for all. Everyone agreed they made a much better spectacle than Sir John before a tentacle with eyes turned them into goo. They were followed by Lodanar the Elven Wizard, Arfix the Dark Huntress, Voltazor the Huge, Orphus the Singing Duelist, Barnabas the Pirate and his bloody boys, Akamarak the Sun-Touched, and a list of heroes with progressively less detailed backgrounds, each lasting less than the previous one. For a time, it sort of became the new hobby of the party to set up all sorts of traps, mazes, monsters, and puzzles in their palace, just to see how far these men and women sent to end their reign of terror could get. But in all honesty, all they were doing was stalling the inevitable. Each day that passed, the darkness in the southern horizon grew larger, deeper, more noticeable. Weather patterns no longer worked as they used to, wind becoming almost perpetually southward. The clouds above lined up, always traveling in the same direction now, and the feeling in the air just wasn't right. "You all know I dislike stating the obvious, but it might be possible that this plan of yours will end up taking us all down," said Rakim during a particularly gloom and silent dinner, during which the gem-encrusted helmets of Ulfmere Hammerbeard and his fellow dwarves, who had just been killed by an acid-spewing trap set in the eastern wing earlier that morning, served as fruit plates. Jack nodded in silence. Even Vorgok, usually above the petty matters of mere mortals, seemed to puff from his cigar, from the last box he had, shippings had stopped entirely a week ago, with certain unease. Valenar just had his stare firm over Hassan until the rogue acknowledged it. "What?" the rogue asked. "Don't give me that look. This plan was as much yours as it was mine." "Mine? Mine?" Valenar exploded, something which, although rare to him, had been happening progressively more often as of late. "Care to explain when I made up such stupidity?" Hassan narrowed his eyes. "Oh, quite the hypocrite, are we? Perhaps the original idea was mine. But no one jumped on the bandwagon quicker than you. You wanted it as much as me. Perhaps even more." The priest stood up from the table, furious. "You imbecile! All you had to do was threaten, not stab. What good is it now with the realms of men sending everything they have against us, and the world itself breaking apart? Nothing, you hear me? Nothing. All your idiotic schemes, all of your useless gold. It's all pointless now. And there is no one to blame but yourself." Rakim took off his diminutive glasses and waited for the mild groundshake to pass. A lot of those had been taking place recently. Ever the stronger, too. "Hassan has a point. Any of us could have stopped him, but we just went along with it. We are all accountable for what happens now." Jack and Vorgok sort of agreed/grunted, but otherwise remained silent. Valenar pointed a shaky finger at the Gorillonk. "You will not!" His hand closed into a firm grasp, and the control room in Rakim's forehead began to glow slightly. But the purple monkey managed to resist the priest's attempts, and in a fit of frustration the latter stormed out of the dining hall. "What on earth got into him?" finally asked Jack, while chugging down some mercurial water. Hassan dismissed the point with a hand gesture. "Oh, I do not know, and probably do not care. But I do have a plan for what is to come."